Hello, my name is Lorraine Rodriguez, and today I will be discussing case study contracting out and contracting in a county correctional system. Just a little bit of background for this case study. There is an issue where Chief Executive or County Executive Julio Eller has decided to implement programs to assist with crime that's been going on in the city and uprising crime or within the county. Chief Executive Eller does not want to continue to put funds into imprisoning offenders that are nonviolent or for misdemeanors. He would like to implement intermediate criminal sanctions or ICS programs. He's met with some issues from certain people, and there are others who would benefit from this program just as Mr. Eller would benefit from the program. I chose to study the issue, will the implementation of ICS or intermediate criminal sanctions programs be more rehabilitative and cost effective than building new prison cells and say continuing the process of imprisoning offenders for misdemeanor and nonviolent crimes. With this issue, there are quite a few stakeholders. The first stakeholder that I have is County Executive Eller. From his perspective, there will be more money to put into other aspects of the county to better the county, to work on other projects if the county were not paying to imprison nonviolent offenders and continue to build more and more cells for these offenders. Alternative resolution programs would be used to monitor offenders. So programs that are similar to probation, misdemeanor intervention programs, and pretrial programs would be the programs of choice in this matter. Another stakeholder here would be the mayor of the city, Mayor Hisener. So from his perspective, he's concerned more with his constituents. He's concerned that the city would actually suffer from the creation of daily reporting centers and community correction centers. So centers that would kind of serve like halfway houses for nonviolent offenders. Mayor Hisener and the city constituents are against this, as they feel like it would be halfway houses sort of popping up around their city. It would lower property values, and they feel like they're mini jails, like these are unsavory people that are going to be within their city. So I also have as stakeholders Warden Grubb for the county jail and Brian Garachi. Brian Garachi is actually an employee of the Department of Welfare Services. So unbeknownst to County Executive Eller, he and Warden Grubb have actually come to an agreement where there will be inmate programs implemented within the jail that would allow for inmates to prepare, package, and then deliver food to elderly citizens. It's known that for elderly citizens, they may not be able to get out and pick up meals. So the Warden Grubb is, from her perspective, inmates will have a purpose. They will have more to do. They won't be idle. They won't be bored. And given purpose and given something to do, that will reduce crime and issues within the jail. For Brian Garachi, this is great because he's focused mainly on getting meals to elderly citizens in a timely manner, just making sure that they're doing well. And he knows that with this volunteer program that he and Warden Grubb have agreed to, he will be able to have that. So Mr. Eller's plans for alternative programs would help it would help Warden Grubb and Mr. Garachi. Another stakeholder would be Gus Springer. Gus Springer owns a catering company of sorts called Gus the Gustabus, and he is negatively affected by the entire thing. He is a private vendor, private contractor. With that said, he would pretty much lose any contract that he might have with the county, with the city to provide meals. Within the jails. So they have written letters and correspondence from their perspective. This move by County Executive Eller would actually, and by Mayor Hisner, if he were to agree, this move would greatly affect his company economically. He would have to lay people off, and he's just absolutely against it, negatively affected by it. Another person who came up as a stakeholder when I was going through this case study is Emma Xavier. Her sister lost her son, so Miss Xavier's nephew, to a drunk driver. So they are part of MADD, Mothers Against Drunk Driving. And the reason why they're against ICS programs is because ICS programs to the victims of these crimes, it seems like people are getting off without having to face any jail time, not really having any consequences. So for where there are inmates and offenders who feel like, this is their payment to society because maybe their crime wasn't as serious as, say, a murder or drug trafficking cases, those violent offenses they wouldn't qualify for ICS programs. These people would be convicted felons. They would, be in prison. They wouldn't be allowed these privileges. For the victims and for Miss Xavier, they lost a family member. So the idea of people being able to kind of have programs that would still allow them to work, still allow them to see their family members, still allow them to kind of go home. It's kind of like a slap in the face. And so I thought those were important stakeholders to add to the study. Henry Hallam also came up as a stakeholder. He's the probation services chief. So I think that being that he is the most experienced when it comes to probation services, which is obviously a deterrent from people being in prison. I thought that because he's experienced, that he would be he would obviously have something to say. These would be programs that he would have to administer and oversee. He's indicated throughout the case study that the probation office is severely understaffed, and so that may pose an issue or a problem, with County Executive Eller's proposal to add these programs. For my recommendation, after I did my interview with a person who works for a company that's contracted through the Department of Corrections that provides services for nonviolent offenders, and some violent offenders, once they're coming out and they're either on work release or they just need a little bit of help. I think that there's a definite need for ICS and ICS programs and other division programs in order to stop prison overcrowding and in order to make prison or jail more rehabilitative than punitive. With that said, the county executive's resolution to begin administering ICS programs and implementing those programs rather than normal lengthy jail sentences, his proposal should go through and be ratified. Programs should be implemented as short-term programs so as to not have people, so as to not begin an overcrowding type of situation within the ICS programs. That way there's a smooth transition and quick education. So I believe that offenders who are provided with alternative programs, they'll feel more of a purpose, and this will assist to fight crimes within the city. It'll reduce the crime rate within the city. And for inmates who don't qualify for ICS programs that are still in the jails. Meal prep programs may help to provide them with something to do and that sense of purpose, even within the jail system, even if they're not quite ready to be out, in the world. There is there are programs available within the jail, and that meal prep program, it'll help to, again, reduce the violence and other issues within the jails. ICS programs, if they are like probation programs, if they are like your misdemeanor intervention programs, then they will also address issues of drug and alcohol abuse and mental health concerns. So I think that if that's kind of implemented into those centers that people are going to check in, then that may have a better view for the people living within the cities that feel like these are more like halfway houses or mini jails. If you can show that there's a purpose behind these centers other than we're just monitoring people that are coming out of, in and out of jail, then I think that may help the mayor to have a better view and something better to take to his constituents. So I think that is it. Thank you so much.